Hello, everybody. We're going live just a little bit early, just to check that you can all hear us.
Is the sound okay,
Yeah.
everyone? Hope so.
Oh, just got a notification. Fiona's live.
Okay. Sounds fine. Ria Shakespeare.
Thank you, Ria. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Hello. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Wow, what a day. Firstly, I'd like to start by explaining the thumbnail for the live, the green face with the third eye. Is what I was talking about today. It's actually part of a GIF. It's like a little video. It's hilarious. If you go to Chris Ship's Twitter feed, and I think it's one of the first posts he did today, someone replied with that saying, let's not forget, Harry's probably off his tits on drugs. And it just made me laugh. And it helps me identify which live is which when I'm looking back over them. So hello, everybody. Hello, kiddies. Ready for a bitch fest? Now, I wanted to explain something before we start for the benefit of if there are any Sugars or Meghan supporters or people who just don't really understand the different newspapers that we have in the United Kingdom.
Oh, just interrupt, sorry. You were going to do it for 1 hour because...
Oh, yes, Dan Wootton is going live with Lady C and somebody else at 9.
GB News in 1 hour's time.
UK time, yeah.
Tom Bauer, Paul Burrell and Lady C talking about Harry and today's
with
event.
Dan Wootton.
We're going to be watching.
So I know you guys are going to want to watch that. So we'll stop this just before 9 o'clock UK time, just before 10 o'clock European time.
And go over to GB News if you're interested.
In 1 hour. So
we've
got an hour to analyse and digest what has happened today, which is a lot. It's a mess. It's a nightmare for Harry and his legal team. Yes, I'd like to start by explaining the difference, what the Mirror is in the UK. For anyone who doesn't know, and especially Sugars and Meghan and Harry supporters, I'm pretty certain they won't understand. Because they seem to, the way Harry was talking today in court, saying obviously having a go at the Mirror, because that's who this lawsuit is all about, saying that the United Kingdom is the country's gone to the dogs, the press and the government, right? At the moment in the United Kingdom, we have a Tory government, Conservative government. That is right wing. Like in America, that would be the Republican Party. The Mirror is a left wing newspaper. They support the Labour Party. I'd also like to point out they were founded in 1903 on the 2nd of November. So we're not talking some ditty little website that just got invented like Newsweek or, I don't know, Pink Vanilla Dice or whatever the hell it's called. They've been around a while. They support the National Health Service, which is the free health service that we have in the UK. They have traditionally always supported Labour governments and the Labour Party. And they actually supported Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign in 2016. So for any Americans out there, the Mirror is a supporter of the Democrats in America. And for any Harry and Meghan supporters out there who think the Mirror are right-wing, racist, or they love to use the term Nazi, don't they, when they refer to the right wing, the Mirror supported Hillary Clinton's bid for the presidential campaign. So that's who we're talking about that Harry is suing. And I seriously doubt, having read Harry's testimony and cross-examination today, that he understands that himself. I don't think he understands that the Mirror is left-wing. Right, now, Harry, oh my God. I watched the little video of him leaving the court today, and you were absolutely right, Graham. He didn't exactly swagger into the court this morning, but he was doing his jacket and he put on a brave face. But when he came out, red face, head down, he did not enjoy that experience, and I dare say he will not enjoy it tomorrow either. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even a forced smile, really. It was like someone had told him make the effort. That's our ice maker, by the way, not the cat in the litter box.
No.
So what did you make of it today?
It was as predicted, wasn't it? We thought he'd just go in there full of arrogance, like, what was he called? David Davis in the Brexit talks. Didn't take any papers, any files.
Dear, yes.
It's like this, I don't need papers and files talking about something. No, he just went in there totally unprepared and he just got torn into little shreds. And the very first one they came up with, how many is it? 33 different incidents where his phone's been tapped. He agreed that in the first one, he didn't even have a mobile phone. He didn't get a mobile phone for a few years after that article.
Yes, I think he has muddled memories. I don't know where to begin.
It started badly. It got worse towards the middle. The least said about the end, the better.
Yes. Yeah. It was awful. He admitted many times that he wasn't sure if his phone had been hacked, that it was just guessing. He was unaware, or in a lot of instances, hadn't even read the articles, didn't know what the guy was talking about.
But he knew his phone had been hacked because his messages had been read. But to be fair, he might have read them the night before when he was pissed.
Yeah.
So when he reopened them in the morning with no recollection of having read them the night before, he thought they'd been hacked.
Yes, he did. He did say that, in all fairness.
No damning evidence against him.
He said something like, in all fairness, I get drunk, and I check my messages and then I black out and I've no memory. So, I thought maybe it was me checking them at first. He actually said that. He used the words paranoid, lots of mentions of drugs, drink. The barrister, now, this is an important point. The videos I've done over the last few days where I've been sort of explaining how I would prepare, there were quite a few things that I didn't mention because, I'm not coaching anybody to give evidence, but I'm kind of glad I didn't actually, because he might watch these videos and it might have tipped him off. It is very important not to lose one's rag with the prosecuting barrister. But there's a bit more to it than that as well. You've also got to think on your feet. You've also got to make sure you don't say something that's going to hurt your case and help theirs. And I think what happened with Harry today was he was so focused on not flicking out. I'm not going to flick out. I'm not going to flick out. And the guy was obviously so charming and quiet. Harry just thought, that's it. I've done my bit. I can just see him coming out of there. He obviously had an hour's conference with his legal team afterwards inside the court. And I can see him saying, I did really well, didn't I, guys? I didn't flick out once. And them going, well, you didn't flick out, but you said a lot of shit, like we don't have the burner phones anymore. So we have absolutely no way of proving if a phone was hacked. You also said you didn't know that these stories had been published in other competing newspapers before the Mirror did their article.
Which explains where the Mirror got them from, because a lot of newspapers just copy each other's articles. The nub of it is he hasn't got a shred of proof, not one shred, okay, to prove that the Mirror tapped his phone or any phone.
No,
which is the nub of the case, isn't it? You can't go there and make accusations with no proof.
That's the other thing. All Andrew Green is concerned with is protecting his client, the Mirror Group. He doesn't care if the Daily Mail, for example, hacked Harry and it was proved. He doesn't care if the Sun get into trouble. They are not his concern. So what Harry should have done today is gone in and proved categorically that his phone or people near him were hacked by the Mirror Group. And he couldn't even say if anybody's phone had been hacked. He actually said, I don't know whose phone. Could have been a doctor's phone over a broken thumb story. Could have been one of his school friends' phone. He also, the lawyer got out Spare and started reading to him from Spare. And he said, you're saying this in your statement, but you said this in Spare. And Harry said, well, it was a long time ago and I can't be sure. He said, I can't be sure. I don't know. I haven't read that article. The guy asked him, how were you affected by this particular article? And he said, oh, I didn't read it. I don't know. I mean, it's a nightmare. It's a diabolical nightmare for Harry. Now, someone from who supports him did say to me a while ago that Harry is not in this to win it. So that's good. That's good.
He's on a winner there then.
Wish granted, Harry. That the whole purpose, apparently, of this exercise was for him to be able to display and publicise the pain that he's been through in his life from being the focus of attention in newspapers and to highlight the hacking. That apparently is the whole point of this extremely expensive court exercise. That's what I was told by someone who supports him. And I didn't believe them. I thought, well, you must be nuts. And after today, I believe them now. They said it doesn't matter if he wins or loses. He's just got to throw a light on it. It's a PR exercise.
It's going to be very expensive.
I can feel my own father turning in his grave right now. I think I'm turning in my grave, actually, on his behalf. And I don't even support him. I mean, he's insane. Because the Daily Mail, a lot of people think the Daily Mail is hard right. It's not, actually. I've read the Daily Mail over the years. It's not. It's a bitch fest. It's a popular paper. It's gossip. It is right-leaning, but sometimes they have left-leaning articles. It's sort of moderate to maybe a bit extreme right. The Sun is quite extreme right. Daily Express is right. Mirror, as I've said, is the left. And he's taking on the right and the left and the centre. He's taken the whole lot on. So the newspapers have almost become, your enemy's enemy is my, Your enemy's enemy is my friend. I mean, I've never seen the newspapers get together and go, what the hell did we do to Windsor? And the stories that they're reading out aren't actually that bad on reflection, are they?
No.
They're not that shocking.
I mean, what was it about his girlfriend? He was seen in a Nazi uniform snogging some girl. And they put in the paper the next day, his girlfriend rang him up and gave him loads of shit. Well, that's a good guess, because if I was dressed as a Nazi and photographed snogging some girl, you can bet she'd be ringing me up or coming looking for me with a baseball bat. You don't need to be clairvoyant to work that one out, do you?
Very good. Randall Costa says, if he wanted people to know that he was hurt, he should have written a book. Exactly. He did write a book, but he didn't put any of this in the book. Why didn't he put it in the book? He could have actually made money out of this. Instead, this is likely to bankrupt him. I would have thought.
I can see the costs getting away quite a lot, substantially.
And what he's got to do, and I was reading some of your comments before we went live, is he's got to provide evidence. Obviously, it doesn't have to be beyond reasonable doubt. We're not in a criminal court. It's got to be a balance of probability. It's got to be a hell of a lot more than what he said already.
You've got to prove it. You've got to prove. I mean, if you said, look, here's a bug and it's got your name on it.
Yeah.
Or it can be traced back to Mirror Group newspapers. I mean, that's completely different, isn't it? But just to say, well, I don't know. I think the mustard's on. It's
shocking. It's terrible. And I suspect, the court closes at 4:00, or the sessions stop at 4:00.
He didn't come out till nearly 5.
He came out at 5:00. So I think he'd been in a conference room with his legal team for an hour afterwards to debrief. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have done it in the court. I would have said, let's go to a hotel somewhere and debrief over a few coffees. Let's not have any beer, Harry. You got tomorrow to get through, and possibly the next day. I also noticed that a lot of the media are sort of saying, Andrew Green's got a day and a half to get through this. That's not what Judge Fancourt said. All he said was, I'm not restricting you to 1 day. That's all he said. That doesn't mean he's got to get it done in a day and a half. But I think he did get through quite a few articles today.
They've got 33 points to get through. Did he get to 16 or something like that?
I can't remember how many articles they've got up to. But it is a shame it's not televised. I think if this is of public importance, Harry himself should have insisted on it being televised.
What was he saying about Paul Burrell? He said he's a two-faced and then he...
Oh, yes. I'd like to say...
words put in the...
Happy birthday. Some of you said it's Paul's birthday today. Happy birthday to Paul Burrell. And I'd like to say some words in defence of Paul, because I know he's been criticised in the past, and someone did comment today and say Burrell stole a load of Diana's stuff and blah, blah, blah. No, he didn't. He didn't. There was quite a smear campaign against Burrell, and it's all to do with a little mahogany box and the George Smith tapes. I won't elaborate any further because that's a conversation for another day, many, many years in the future. Sure, nobody wants that raked up again, but no, Paul didn't steal stuff from her. He was not convicted, and actually Her Majesty the Queen stepped in and put paid to the whole nightmare for Paul. And also, I've read Paul's book and I've watched almost all his interviews, and I've never heard him say a bad word about any member of the royal family. Lately, he's expressed disappointment in Harry, and he said he thinks it'd be good for Harry to stop talking and stop criticising and hurting them. That's about as far as Paul's gone. I think Paul's a sweetie, real sweetie.
Sure. Harry should just enjoy his millions and just disappear into ambiguity. Was it?
Invisibility.
Invisible, yeah.
Become the invisible man. Yes, Prince Harry, His Royal Highness. I saw Lady C the other day, and she's quite correct. They are in a court, a formal court, and so it would be his formal title, which would be His Royal Highness, Prince Henry, whatever, Duke of Sussex. So it would be. But I mean, then after that, he could have said, just call me Harry, couldn't he? Because that's what he's always said. I'm just Harry. Well, he's not just Harry anymore. I think he might be cottoning on to the fact that he was onto a good number when he was in the royal family. Officially
didn't realise I was trapped until Meg told me.
Oh yeah, where's Meghan? Where's his wife? Because I bet your bottom dollar, if this was you in court, I'd be right there by your side.
100%.
And I think most people would, most spouses. If it was Meghan in court, I bet Harry would go with her. Where is Meghan? Where is Meghan? She kicked up this dust storm, and you know what it is with her? She lives in Instagram speed. Everything's now. And by next week, she's bored of it. I don't want to talk about that anymore. Shut up about that. I'm fed up with that. I've reinvented myself. Woman reinvents herself twice a week. She's leaving him with a big legal nightmare, a big legal mess, and a big legal bill. Where is she? They could have brought both kids. Brought both. Okay, don't even get me started on dolls and
don't
kids.
Don't mention
like
the children.
But because it was one of their birthdays, you know. Whatever. If it had been us, we would have gone over as a group. And if it was, say, Faith's birthday, we would have had Faith's birthday probably a few days before. We might have done it on the Sunday night. We might have gone over a week before so that you would have time to spend with the legal team.
And you'd be reading all the papers, wouldn't you? You wouldn't just go smoke a weed.
You have to, when you're in a lawsuit or any court case, and we've been in a few, you have to eat, sleep, and breathe the nightmare every day.
Ask yourself all the questions.
Yep, go over everything.
Think of all the answers.
I remember the lawsuit. I used to talk about it morning, noon, and night. I probably drove you mad, and you'd test me out and say, "What if they say this? What if they say that?" You'd say, "We need to get evidence of this and evidence of that to prove our case."
Can't just smoke a weed and go, I don't know.
Or just turn up and say,
"My dad's the king," you know.
Yeah.
You better find them all guilty, send them all to prison, because my dad will fire you otherwise. It doesn't work like that. I'm sorry.
I think I don't know. I don't know if he's got the message. And I don't know if he's going to win.
And he's deeply offended by people thinking he's thick.
Then stop talking, Harry. Stop talking.
Better people think you're stupid than you open your mouth and prove it.
Yeah. I think he's enormously naive as well. He's obviously let his wife lead him up this horrible path. I don't know what his legal team are thinking. How could he be so ill prepared? How could they allow him into the witness box? How could they have allowed him to bring it this far? And I know a lot of you have said he's a grown man. Well, then Sherborne should have said, "I'm not doing it. I'm walking away."
Listen, if I was his barrister, I'd say, "Yes, Your Highness, Your Highness. Whatever you want, Your Highness, just sign here. There you go. The bill's in the post." And I'd milk him for as much money as I possibly could, because that Porsche doesn't run on fumes, you know.
Well, it's a bit different with David Sherborne, because I think he's already a multi-millionaire and a very successful lawyer. And I think he's just destroyed his own reputation. He's just gone down the loo. He's absolutely destroyed. I would never use him. I don't care if he just charged 10 quid an hour and I desperately needed a barrister. After today, no way. And I have fired barristers. There was a particular barrister that I fired.
Wasn't he a judge?
No, he was up for being a judge. Richard Gerald was going to watch him in court. And he represented a friend of mine, and he had his feet up on the bench, and I was sitting behind him, and he had his laptop open, and he was playing that game, Tetris. Yeah. And the judge was Richard Brown. I can't remember the name of the barrister that was prosecuting, but my friend was looking at some pretty serious prison time. And the prosecution barrister looked over, and he could see the computer game, and he looked at me. And he said to Richard Brown, the judge, I feel I need to say something in mitigation for the defendant because nobody else is helping him. And I came out of that court, I bounced straight into my solicitor's office and I said, sack him. I don't want him because I had him for other issues. I said, I want Richard Gerald for everything. And because of who my dad was, gossip went round the legal circuit pretty quick. And that was pretty much the end of him. I did hear about him. He represented one of your mates at Shoreham years later. And it was some sort of crappy criminal case. And I thought, oh, the dizzying heights. Never mind, that was the end of him. He owned a bar. His missus looked a bit like one of our psychopaths.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But she wasn't. She was lovely. I must stop talking about them because I know they're watching. I know you're watching, both of you.
One was the word, mate. Don't worry. Saying nothing. Keeping it as it.
Yes, don't worry. Your secret's safe with us. Right, let's have a look at a few comments because I can't see. I think I'm as blind as a bat.
I was represented by the prosecution once when I went up for an appeal because my barrister was so useless. He didn't even turn up. So the barrister came over to me from the prosecution and he said to me, well, your barrister isn't here, so I feel I have to represent you.
Yeah.
So he did his thing and did his prosecuting bit. And then he said, I have to represent Mr. Hesketh because, in all fairness, blah, blah, blah. And he came out with all the things that I'd told him. And I got off.
Well, that's the thing. They're instruments of God. Yeah. They're different.
He was shit on. He was really good. I thought, why can't we get people that good in the defence?
No, you don't understand. Barristers don't work for the prosecution or the defence.
They're just appointed.
No, you've got the Crown Prosecution Service, which is the government's solicitors. They prosecute, and then each defendant has an independent solicitor. And they can appoint any barrister anytime. Richard did loads of work, Richard Gerald, for the prosecution. But he did loads of work for defendants like me. You know, they chop and change.
I used to like Rumpole over Bailey.
Yeah, the character didn't like doing prosecution.
Yeah. Anyway, get on your comments.
Yes, Harry is back in court tomorrow to answer a question. And no, I don't think he has to stay to the end of the trial. I think he's only going to stay until he's finished.
Giving evidence and he's off.
They may be done by tomorrow. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it ran over tomorrow. But
it could go the rest of the week.
It sounds like Andrew Green is actually having quite an easy time. He's sized Harry up pretty well, and he's obviously looked at the evidence and thought, "My God, you couldn't even make tea with this case."
Yeah, but the defence has got to start questioning him as well.
The defence, I think, can re-question him to re-highlight. But I mean, if I were David Sherborne, I'd just shut up and hope this nightmare end as soon as possible.
Well, they wanted to drag it out for the money if I was a barrister.
It's humiliating for Sherborne. Wow, maybe.
That's what they did. Ferrari. Stand the Porsche. I want a Ferrari. I've got my name down on the list. Come on, Harry. Drag it out.
And the judge, before anybody asks, is already a Sir. He's already had a knighthood. Sir Timothy Fancourt. Sir Timothy Miles Fancourt. So he's not hanging out for a knighthood. And I think they get lordships at a certain point anyway. I think that it's some sort of passage, isn't it? Because a lot of our judges are lords. The lords are the ones that wear don't they wear the long white wig and the red dress?
Judge Jeffries didn't get a nice one, did he?
A quite cool little dress.
Didn't he die in jail? Syphilis or something, I don't know. The hanging judge, going back a bit there. You can Google him if you want. Judge Jeffries, nasty piece of work.
Harry won't go tomorrow. It's one of the royal dog's birthdays, and he's got to be there for the party. I'll tell you who I've been watching.
Gingerbread.
I don't know the guy's name. Oh, I should know. It's Patrick. What was that guy's name today on GB News?
Oh,
Really good. No. The interviewer. Patrick.
I can't remember.
Well, you guys must know his name. He's a young guy, and he's one of the presenters on GB News. Patrick something. And he was there with Michael Cole. And Michael Cole worked for the BBC, and then he worked for Mohammed Al Fayed as his PR at Harrods. So, I mean, and he gave evidence.
The GB News were in the courtroom, and they kept coming running out when you've got others inside the courtroom.
Oh, and the guy,
tweeting like mad. He said this, he said that.
They were fantastic. They were fantastic reporting. The young lad at the court was really good, really, really good, and they were balanced. Patrick Christie's, yes, that's it, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, he's quite feisty, but I'm really interested. He's not politically sort of one way or the other. He's just feisty and alive. I love him.
It's quite good at times, GB News. I mean,
I like it. They have a bit of this and a bit of that. Please don't start going into your pet hates. Please, I beg of you.
I don't do politics on my channel.
Oh.
I don't. I'll try to avoid it like the plague. But I found GB News to be quite helpful at times.
The dog needs a clown for entertainment. Can Harry get sued because of what he said today? In court, no. He can say anything he likes in court. You can't sue people for things they say in court.
If it's proved to be a lie,
no one wanted to say anything, would they?
You can get done for contempt if you lie in court.
Yes, but he's not lying. He's actually been brutally honest. Like, I haven't got a clue. I don't know. It's anyone's guess how the story got out. I don't know. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It is every barrister's nightmare. And then I love the little cartoon things they draw. You know, the little pencil drawing. And there's Sir Timothy Fancourt in the background like this. With his little tabs.
Yeah. Linda said Chelsea was mentioned quite a few times.
Chelsea. Oh, Chelsea Daly. Yes, she was. I don't even know why he's bringing Meghan into it. He mentioned Meghan and Piers Morgan bullying him and Meghan. It's got nothing to do with Meghan. Honestly, the worst thing he ever did in his life was marry her. She's destroyed his life. Absolutely, in my opinion, she has destroyed his life, his reputation. Everything. If he was in a bad way before, and I don't think he was actually in that much of a bad way, everybody loved him. He was totally popular. He had Invictus, and she came along and she just ruined his life.
Well, we can all be sucked in by people, can't we? We fall in love with. It's easy done.
Don't look at me when you say that.
Well, no, I wasn't looking at you. Whole landmine. Shut up.
Was the way you looked at me when you said that?
No, but it's true that we've all been there. Well, most of us have been there.
Who have you been there with then?
Well, you know, don't want to go over things, but you think people are really nice and they're not. It's the number of it, isn't it? And you get sucked in and suckered, and then you get flicked.
Yes.
Well.
Yes. I mean, she's probably said to him, "Don't come
Fiona's
back."
my
if you
third
don't
wife,
win.
by the way. Third time lucky.
And one of his girlfriends tried to kill him once.
Two of them. Two women tried to kill me.
Oh, okay.
One tried to bayonet me with a Swiss,
that's right.
with a Swiss Mauser, and I had to move out the way, and it went in the wall. And the second one tried to kill me with a lump hammer. She ran towards me with a lump hammer like that, and tried to hit me on the head. And luckily, I moved out the way. But Fiona's never tried to kill me, not that I'm aware of.
Right, yeah. I'm just reading some of these comments. Yes, Chelsea, I think Chelsea did the right thing, actually, getting out of it. And I saw a comment the other day somewhere, I can't remember, Daily Mail, or it might have been YouTube, someone saying, thank goodness William was born first. I would put it another way. Thank goodness William didn't fall for someone like Meghan and he got Catherine. As lotteries go, he won the lottery. That's the thing, isn't it? Because imagine if William had become besotted by some, I don't know, and I'm not referring to Meghan in this way, but just some silly tart then his life could easily have been destroyed, couldn't it? Some gold digging, pole
Someone
climbing
did
tart.
say they think that the heirs to the throne should have to date people for at least 5 years before they commit to
Perhaps
getting married.
another act of Parliament, the Meghan Act, could be created, added to the Royal Marriages Act.
They can't keep the pretense up for that long.
But if they marry without the consent of the monarch, then they lose all titles, they can't live on Crown property, they lose all funding, something like that, and they call it the Meghan Act.
Who knows, so they might be really happy together, and we just wish they'd just shut up and just go and be happy together forever, and we'd not have to look at them. Because that'd be cool, wouldn't it? We'd all be happy, wouldn't we? Apart from Meghan.
There's still time for me to try and kill you. You've tried my patience once or twice.
I've got no idea.
I've never tried to kill you.
No, she hasn't. She hasn't. Quite the reverse. She saved me a few times.
Oh, I bet South Park are filling their boots at the moment. Yes, Cressida was lovely as well. But I mean, both girls have got married now and moved on, haven't they? I hope he gets out of the marriage one day, and I hope he finds someone who genuinely makes him happy, and he can live in peace and quiet somewhere like the Cotswolds or somewhere on the African continent, or maybe mid-America or Canada, you know, and just quietly in a log cabin. And I do hope he meets someone who makes him happy one day, because I've never seen him look so miserable as from the day he married Meghan. He's just become more miserable.
Nothing challenging. I don't believe he killed 25 people in his helicopter. I don't even think his helicopter ever left the walls of Camp Bastion.
Oh, I think he did.
I think he patrolled around the walls. That was his job, wasn't it? Make sure no Afghans came close.
What's that game called?
PlayStation.
Call of Duty. Yeah, I reckon he got him on Call of Duty. Yes, it was sad today. We don't want him in Canada. Well, if he was in the woods with the bears, you wouldn't know. If he kept his trap shut. I mean, it's the way he's trying to make out that he's saving us all, you know, Messiah complex.
He's saving us from the press.
He's saving us and saving the press. He's saving journalism, no less. Goodness gracious me. I'll tell you what, I was always, when I heard that Meghan had introduced him to light and sound baths early in the marriage, I thought, what the hell is a light and sound bath?
Hypnosis.
Yeah, that to me sounds like hypnosis, and then he turned dead weird after that.
And if you're smoking weed and listening to light and sound, and have a trip, Harry, have an LSD. Oh, wow, thanks, Megs, this is great. She's marvellous, isn't she? I don't know. I'm guessing completely.
Please, not Africa. Says Petra. It's a big continent.
Yeah,
I'm sure you wouldn't notice him if he was there.
Where's that place he was going? Botswana. He's into Botswana. He can dig wells and drive Land Rovers and things. It'll be fine.
Yes, Grand Theft Auto.
Put fences up and barbed wire and stuff like that.
He's totally lost the plot. Yes. I mean, before it had even started today, and they released his statement, they said part of his statement said he's determined to get to the bottom of all this phone hacking. Well, that means he hasn't established who's behind it. You establish that before you go suing someone.
You get the evidence before you go to court. You don't make the allegations and then go to court to find the evidence.
I mean, that's a bit back to front. So he's using...
unless Mirror Group newspapers take the stand and say, oh, yes, I confess we did bug him. I mean, it hasn't got a hope in hell's chance of winning it, has he?
I don't know what he's thinking of. And if his lawyers were worth their soul, they'd pull him out of it tonight. They'd settle. I mean, I'm sure the Mirror would want a lot of money, but they just settle and say, that's it, it's over. And then they'd say tomorrow, it's been settled out of court. Nobody's going to say why or anything. He's nuts if he continues. Absolutely
He's got
nuts.
no concept of money. None.
No.
Because whatever he gets, if he, let's just suppose he lost the case and they awarded costs and it was a horrendous amount of money. King would just pay it. King would just pay it off. There you go.
Do you really think?
I'm a billionaire. There you go.
I'm not sure Charles will pay it off.
I bet he will.
I'm not convinced he will. I think he might think, tough love. I'm sorry, Harry, you were warned not to start this. You've started it and you are on your own.
The thing is, if he's skint when he comes to the divorce, then she can have half.
Exactly. That's why I don't think
And then when he
Charles.
goes back to London, Charlie will be there. Here you go, here's a few million to keep you going, pocket money, just stay out of trouble.
No,
Give me a
Charles
few
is,
million a year.
Graham, believe me, Charles is not going to bail him out of this. I don't believe that.
But he will.
Well, then I think you underestimate Camilla.
Wouldn't want to step
Very
on that
much
mine,
so.
that's for sure. I'll keep Camilla right out of.
And I think you underestimate William, and I think you underestimate Catherine.
William and Catherine, I think they're going to be brilliant.
Harry started this. He was warned not to go suing the press, left, right, and centre. He started this. And if he goes bankrupt as a result of it, I think the royal family will sit off and think, well, then you've got to learn a lesson. And she'll disappear. She'll disappear in the blink of an eye as long as he's not got money. You think they're going to give him money to keep that blowfly hanging around?
No, they're going to want him to be skinned to get rid of him.
They're going to want him single.
Because she's going to want to dump him for a billionaire.
Yeah.
And then she's gone. And like I say, if he's skinned, she can have half, can't she?
Yes.
And it's all signed and sealed in California, or whatever. And it's
In
done,
fact, I mean,
finished.
I can see
Here's that.
the royal family have the best lawyers ever. I can see that if there was a divorce and a divorce settlement, the royal lawyers would say to her, yeah, you can have so many million and you can have it as an allowance each month, couple of 100,000. Keep her under wraps. So give her enough money, but it's an allowance.
She's only entitled to half of what he's got. So if he hasn't got anything, she's entitled to half.
Graham, I wouldn't have thought he's got much left at the moment. I mean,
I reckon she's cleaned him out. I mean, how much are those stupid, horrible dresses that she was wearing? I mean,
how much does the PR
hundreds
cost?
of thousands. The bus from here to California, from London to California, that was $150,000 one way. And he bought a return ticket. It's 300 grand down the tube.
I think he flew commercial on this one.
Did he?
That's what
I
they
would
said.
hope so.
Well, I mean, yeah, she's stuck with him. I don't think she will be stuck with him. I think that's the royal family's plan, that when his money runs out, she will leave.
She will.
That will cure the problem.
Well, I don't have to be a clairvoyant to work that one out.
He will come crawling and they will open the portcullis and then up will come the drawbridge. Don't let her in ever again. That's the end of her.
Prodigal son. You can't come back till you get rid of her.
Yes.
Then you can come back. There you go. There's the fastened
I mean,
calf. There's a load of money.
To Sugar's and Meghan supporters, how can you think it's okay for her not to be there to support him? This was his big day in court and she's not there. She doesn't give a crap. She couldn't care less.
Story.
It's obvious.
If it was a true love story, she'd be there with him.
She would.
Even though they're getting booed and hissed and everything, she should be there. She'd be
Guaranteed
there
you and I would be glued at the hip if we were going, oh, we did. We went to court together pretty much every year. I don't know, I took Tim on one of them and he opened a can of beer in the back of the court. And the judge heard the psst, and he went, what was that? Who did that? My boss was. And I was like, Tim, I'm never bringing you to the Supreme Court ever again. And then he was like,
He did that. I went with him to the supermarket once. It was a big, DIY supermarket, like Walmart, it was B&Q. But it was down here. It was Leroy Merlin in Spain. And as soon as we got out of the car, we were walking in, and he produced a can of beer from his pocket and gave it to me. Produced another one. He's there. And he's walking around the shelves like this, drinking his beer.
all right. Anyway, that's enough of that.
His character, though.
He's virtually teetotal and he goes to church all the time.
He does nowadays, yeah. He had a road rage once, remember Ben said?
Yeah,
someone made him brake really hard and he spilled his beer.
There's security, and yes, you're right, Harriet. He will be getting drunk and stoned, I reckon, tonight, because he had that sort of look about him. It was a great sense of relief for him to be leaving the court. If you can get that little video again, if you see the little video of him arriving, when he's arriving, he's like, straightening his jacket. Hello. And when he left, he was like, and he forced a little smile. Very different story.
Don't forget, most of us, if we were up in court, we'd have had to find a parking space. That's if we brought a car. We were looking at the watch,
Yeah.
thinking, how much is that going to clock up now? But we're walking past everyone, looking to go to the car park.
Yeah.
Not him, he's got his chauffeur-driven Range Rover with his bodyguards. There's about 10 seconds of footage of him coming out the door and disappearing into his blacked-out Range Rover.
Yeah.
He's got no concept.
Wouldn't it have
of
been
money,
funny
none at all.
if he turned up in a New York cab?
At 1 mile an hour. And catastrophic.
A load of photographers with Zimmer frames. Oh, Harry, wait! Shh. Yeah, I can't wait to see South Park. They've got plenty of material. I do wish the Windsors would do plenty, because the Windsors went very easy on Meghan and Harry. I was disappointed, but they've got plenty of material. There's plenty of legs left in that.
Well, maybe now that Charlie's the king, I mean, maybe they won't do it. Because they didn't do the Queen and Prince Philip in the Windsors. They all did all the royal family apart from those two, because they didn't want to be disrespectful, I suppose. But it was a piss take of the royal family, the Windsors.
I don't
Google
know.
it if you haven't heard it. It's a comedy series. It's really, really funny.
Don't know what happened with the visa hearing. I really don't know. Because it's American law, it's definitely not my speciality. Waiting to hear from the Royal Grift on that one. And I'm pretty sure she'll have updates. And also Sue Smith will have updates on that. There was another question. Why doesn't he cycle himself to court and save the planet? I know the planet's on fire.
Probably have a heart attack.
Fire, apparently.
Heart attack.
Will he show up tomorrow? Well, that's a very good question. Will he, or will he just get so smashed tonight?
I think he's committed now. I don't think he can just not come. He's got to come tomorrow.
Well,
Unless he's on the phone to his dad now going, wah! Wah! Bring this judge up, get me out of this.
I'm a prince, get me out of here.
Charlie be there. I'm not taking his calls. I'm
but
hiking in Transylvania.
Yes.
I'm visiting
I bet
Dracula's
Charles
castle.
will not be taking his calls. He'll be getting the answer machine left,
I've
right,
got
and
garlic
centre.
hanging up in the doorway. I don't want any calls from Harry.
I didn't see the spitting image this morning. Yellow taxi. I think he'll be too drunk to turn up tomorrow. Well, yeah. And I think they did give him something to keep him calm, personally. Sky News will have the info out before US. Someone said today that Sky News was against him. It's a different Sky News. There's Sky News Australia, who are usually very much against him. But then there's Sky News UK, our Sky News, and I call it Sly News. It's awful. And they're normally on his... Biden has to turn over records, Jamba. Is that what the court has, as the federal judge said? Anyone in America know if there's been a decision on Harry? And I have no idea which hotel he's staying in the UK. Maybe Claridge's.
We don't know. There will have been someone on a scooter chasing
Now, you
him.
see, if he's staying at Claridge's and he watches this video, that was just a pure guess. He'll go, I bet she's hacked my phone.
How will she know? I have no idea where he's staying.
Proof doesn't matter. His feelings that are hurt, and it's everybody's fault, and he will throw all of his toys everywhere until he feels better. Yes.
He said he hasn't read any of the articles, so how can his feelings be hurt if he hasn't read them?
Exactly.
I can't remember if he read them or not.
He didn't know he was hurt until Meghan told him he was hurt.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
Oh, and that was the other thing. His statement.
Who's this?
The lawyer said, did you write this statement yourself or did your lawyers? And Harry said, I wrote it all myself in California. I had video conferencing with the lawyers, but I did it all myself. So I would suggest someone else wrote it. It had all like dramatics in it. You've got blood on your fingernails.
Read this and sign it, Harry.
Keyboard.
I'll just sign it. I'll read it later. And just never bothered.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine, Meghan. It's brilliant. And it's just brilliant, this, because how many times has he contradicted himself or lied? And so has she. And this is the first time someone sat down calmly with him and said, look, we're going to go through this together, step by step. And
They
he's
don't even need to be nasty to him, because the British barristers are superb at being charming and just cut you to the bone. You know what I mean? They're deadly, absolutely deadly.
The guy's actually sounds like he's coaxed it out of Harry to get Harry to agree with him till Harry said, well, yeah, I don't know for sure who did what. And
super charming baddies.
No, I didn't read that article, and no, I wasn't really upset about that specific one. Another thing Andrew Green's been saying is, are you talking specifically about the Mirror or the press in general? And Harry's fallen for that over and over again. And he said, oh, press in general, it's just press, press. So Andrew's making the point to Sir Timothy, this guy, you're listening to this, Sir Timothy Fancourt,
But he's not suing the press in general, he's suing Mirror Group newspapers.
Yeah, so in this instance, he's got to prove that the Mirror, it's not just that they wrote nasty stories about him, it's that they obtained the information in an illegal way. He's got to prove that. I've got a penny riding on this with a Meghan fan.
Have you?
I have, yes.
I think you'll stand to win another penny.
And I've got plans for that penny. I'm going to spend a penny with it. Americans probably won't understand that.
Anything for a penny.
Or any other.
1 cent. 1 cent bet. Same thing, isn't it? More or less. Both worthless, aren't they?
I heard he was staying at Soho House. I doubt it. He's probably going to stay somewhere that he's never stayed before because he'll be scared of the press.
We don't know where he's staying. Honestly, we don't.
I'd love to see him stopped at customs while he nicked a load of drugs on him.
How do you know he's not staying at the palace? They'd let him stay there. Or Clarence, one of the royal. I'm sure they'd let him stay there if he wanted.
I don't think he'll be staying at the palace. I don't think he'll be staying at any of the well-known ones, the Ritz, the Savoy. Maybe he's got a pal in London if he's got any friends
will
left.
Have followed the Range Rover with a scooter that I found.
Well, actually, the Daily Mail, I was surprised. They've only done a couple of stories on this today. They're really teaching him and Meghan a lesson. You complain every time we print stories about you, so you're irrelevant. And a lot of other newspapers are becoming like that. They're just not getting the publicity for what they want because they've moaned and complained and sued so much. The press are fed up with them. Absolutely fed up. There'll come a point where he'll be begging media to print stories and the media won't want to know, not one bit.
Stop looking at me. Stop looking. Wait. Stop looking at me. He's not looking.
I want my privacy. I want my privacy. Oh, I know. It's
right, guys, 9:45. Got 15 minutes and we've got to knock it on the head because we're going to go watch this GB News.
He's staying someplace where they will give him a huge discount. He might be staying in an Airbnb. Because, well, somewhere with security or something. A security door, not security.
Have a load of henchmen. You see the size of the henchmen?
I don't think he is in St James's Palace, Glinter. I don't think so.
Not henchmen, security. Security, I mean.
Oh, Rivers read about half the statement today. I know the statement is unbelievable and it's so full of emotion and feelings and his suspicions and the court don't want to know about any of that. I can't wait for tomorrow. But half of me is quite exhausted after today and the other half of me can't wait to see what's going to happen. And I would recommend GB News. They're very good. They've got this lovely young lad who keeps running in.
I've always
making some notes and coming out and telling us all about it.
It's absolute pain. The Americans have got it right. They have it all televised live.
Well,
I'm not suggesting it should be live, but it should definitely all be recorded so that once the case is over, you can buy the tape and watch it all back.
Buy the tape. It's the Court of Appeal have live stream. They have a channel and they live stream.
Well, they should live stream it.
They should really, especially as
body language is so important.
This is a case of public interest. I think it is. It's a member of the royal family. It's historical. Nobody's been in court since Edward VII when he was Prince of Wales. I think it should be televised. I mean, the guys kicked up enough fuss about it.
We made this point on an earlier video. Body language is so important.
Very important.
So, Mr. Jones, here's the question. Oh, yes, of course. Or he goes, Yes, of course. I mean, there's
Yeah.
two totally
Yeah,
different answers, aren't there? But
Yeah.
you don't, if you're looking, reading a transcript, you don't get any of that. You've got to see the people and reactions as they're listening to the question and answering the question. It's so important.
Thank you. The statement is on the New York Times website. Is that? I downloaded it.
Cool.
I'll have a look at that. I think it's about 73, 78 pages long, isn't it? Meghan turned Harry into Humpty Dumpty, yeah. And no one's going to be able to glue him back together again. Yeah, I think South Park probably will do the court case. The man with the painting was funny. Oh, you mean the donkey thing? And Harry done like they were like Mary and Joseph. Yes, not quite sure where that guy was coming from with that. I just didn't sound on. No, I just don't get the instinct that he's staying at the palace. I don't know.
Oh yeah, please hit the like button, guys, if you like it.
Soho House is a worldwide club for high flyers to stay, wine, dine, hold business, meet in uber secrecy, and you can get girls there for company, can't you? Escorts.
Can you?
Marcus can keep an eye on him, Harriet says. Yeah, maybe.
What happened to Skippy?
I watched Lady C say
Soho
the kids
House.
really exist, so
Harriet.
she has seen them because nobody else has. Well, actually, Wally always used to say she didn't doubt the kids existed. What Wally used to say was she felt it was a case of artificial insemination and surrogacy.
Oh.
And she believed it was Harry's sperm and Meghan's eggs. That was what Wally believed. She never said she didn't think the kids didn't exist at all. But she just never believed that Meghan carried them off the body.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if people can't have children for one reason or another, there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's, as long as you're honest and you don't
There's nothing
lie.
wrong with it at all. But I mean, lying to the world,
I've
that's
got
weird.
a boom.
That is weird. That's super weird, you know. No way is he staying at the Palace or Rote homes. Royal homes. No, I don't think so.
I don't know where he's staying.
No reason. There's no logical reason I think that. It's just a sensation that I've got.
I'm sure he could if he wanted to.
Yes, that is why they silenced Wally, Callie. That is.
Yeah.
Of course, it's obvious.
Graham's face when you said escorts.
Who will be sitting on their own at the Taj Mahal? Well, who do you think will take an opportunity to have her picture taken in front of the Taj Mahal, looking sad? Oh, it was awful. He used to beat me and take drugs and was drunk all the time. I did everything I could for him, and I just gotta divorce him. Yeah.
You might have her all wrong, you know. I reckon she no, probably not.
I don't think so.
Trying to keep this conversation unbiased.
Yes.
Not very well.
Could be locked in the tower, then get escorted back to the court. He won't go anywhere near the tower. There's a little community of beef eaters living there, and they'd kick the shit out of him. Let's have a look. If they'd been nice people, the public would have wanted their children titled exactly. It's because she's just, I hate to say it, it turns out she's just not nice. And it just didn't make sense for me.
Hello, boo-boo.
Oh, and I never did Google her because I'd never heard of her before Harry said, meet my new girlfriend. I don't know who the hell she was.
She could have represented Harry in court because she's a lawyer.
Oh, yes, Rachel saying she could have slapped him once, slap him twice, and slap him again.
Do as I say.
Yeah.
She was in suits.
Yes, Harry has gotten himself into a terrible mess. She'll use a green screen, David Murphy says.
We'll have to get a green screen of the Taj Mahal and you can do the thing.
No, because I love Princess Diana and I don't want her mocked.
And she was sad when she was there. Genuinely, I believe she was.
Yeah. Darren the doll. Yes. I remember the video Wally did where she showed Darren the doll, and wasn't that incredible? I mean, you could actually superimpose one over the other. I think they did use a Darren the doll when they presented the baby, but knowing that pair of nutters, they would have said, oh, there could be a sniper in Windsor Castle. We better use a doll, and you could just, and I think
Meghan's watched too many movies.
Meghan needs a straitjacket, in my opinion.
It's probably why she didn't come to England. I reckon William's got a team ready with a straitjacket.
Men in white coats, they're going to come and take her.
Give her the...
Oh, is Trevor here? Hello, Trevor. Where's Trevor? Oh, there's Trevor.
No way.
How are you doing? Trevor has been up early this morning to go to a memorial.
Went to Lakenheath.
Right.
Yeah, to watch them
put
a fire.
It's something day. It's.
I saw the fire, Trevor. By the way, the fire engine. They didn't do a very good job, did they? It was rain. He scrimped on the fuel.
He says, "Turns out the hostage is nuts, or he's gone nuts. He's gone nuts. I mean, wouldn't you? If you had to live with her, wouldn't you go mad? I know I would. Hi, Sandra Parrott. I think Meghan was dropped on her head once too many times as a baby. I think Meghan never heard the word no. And I think Harry didn't hear the word no enough. Putty! Hello, Putty! Kitty. Hello. Oh, she's growling at another cat this morning that came into the garden.
She wants some treats, she said.
When will the truth come out about using surrogates? Well, you know what she'll say. If it ever gets to that, or she thinks it's going to come out, she's going to say, yes, I wore a moon bump. Yes, there was a surrogate. I'm quite capable of having children, but the evil, white, racist royal family didn't want an ounce of black blood in their veins, so they insisted.
No, I'm not having that. No.
That's what she'll say. Graham reckons not. I reckon that's what she'll say.
I think she's probably had a problem where she just can't have a baby for herself. But she's had
I don't know for a fact that she wasn't pregnant. I know that she...
Nobody knows.
She wore something, but she might have been pregnant underneath. I don't know.
Yeah, but no one's bump folds around the kneecaps, do they?
Or like...
Something wrong there.
It's, yes. Wind? Maybe?
Inflatable bump.
Indigestion?
You pumped it up too much, you fool.
Oh, imagine that.
Open a plane.
Bang! Pop!
They used to do that. They used to have bras, didn't they, in the 60s that you could pump up, and they got on aeroplanes and they just go bang.
I mean, me, if I was ever going to wear a moon bump, I'd have like a cushion one, with a leotard that you'd wear. So there'd be no danger of it slipping. It would be like a swimsuit, but with a bump. And I'd have all the bumps in the right order, and I'd follow the manual. I wouldn't just grab any old bump. Or I'll have the 9-month bump. I'm going out, but you're only 2 months pregnant. Fuck you, no one will notice. I'll go out like that. And I certainly wouldn't have one full of water, and I wouldn't have one full of air in case I got a puncture. I mean, it's just bizarre. It's incredibly bizarre.
We've got to watch the time.
Oh, yes.
9:55.
We'll have to go soon because they are going to... Dan Wootton is going to have all these fabulous guests on. And I hope Paul's having a nice birthday, and I hope he's not upset about Harry calling him a two-faced whatnot. I think that was quite mean, actually. And I don't see what that's got to do anyway with...
For the benefit of those of you who have joined since we started, 9 o'clock UK time, GB News.
Which is in 4 minutes.
They've got Lady C on there, Paul Burrell and Tom Bauer, and they're talking about Harry and the case today.
Yes.
So we're going to want to see that.
And also, Piers Morgan is going live, I think, in about 4 minutes in his, what's it called, Unloaded, Unstrapped or something, and he is going to respond in full to what Harry said about him. But I mean, all these things are on YouTube, so you can watch them later on. But I thought that a lot of you guys would really want to watch Dan Wootton.
Yeah, we're going to watch it now. Well, in a few minutes when it comes on.
So
we're going to cut it very soon. So last questions. Just grab a few last questions.
Thank you all. Uncensored. That's right. Piers Morgan Uncensored. Thank you very, very much, all of you, for joining us. Hi to Ellen. It's been fantastic having you all here. And let's see what tomorrow brings. Let's see if he turns up tomorrow. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to follow the
He
case
will.
after.
He dared not turn up tomorrow. I'm telling you.
I
I'm telling
reckon
you,
there's
he
a
will
chance.
No, he'll be there tomorrow. He cannot not be there tomorrow. Guys, we're going to cut it here. We're going to go and watch TV news. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Good night. And may your God go with you.
Absolutely.